My name's Scott Billings. I'm a visual artist, also a designer and an engineer, and I teach at some of the local universities. I typically work in video and sculpture. I've always seen sculpture and video as being very similar. They're both three-dimensional. Sculpture, 3D stuff that you walk around, where video, it's got a 2D image that moves through the Z direction. At the BAF residency, I decided to take on some new work, specifically to create a zoetrope, which is a proto-cinematic optical device which creates the illusion of motion. But I am using very recent technology, 3D printing and simulation physics engines that are used in cinema. So kind of merging these two worlds together and trying to create that illusion in real space. Generally these are sculptural pieces. However, each of them has a dynamic or kinetic element. They do perform and behave in time. So certainly I like to work with the performativity of these types of machines and put them in some sort of context to move through space. The two pieces behind me is a meat slicer zoetrope. So I am not using the regular conventions of a zoetrope. There are a lot of 3D printed zoetropes that a lot of hobbyists and DIY people are doing and some other artists are building. And typically they create the ideal conditions for the zoetrope, make a spinning mechanism. I decided to try to repurpose the meat slicer. I've always had an attraction to this particular machine. I like the way it moves, these two motions that it has, and I figure I could, again, transpose that motion into something else and create some other type of illusion that could come out of it. I'm working with a circus ring of fire. This is basically the ring of fire that lions and tigers are unfortunately forced to leap through. For me, it's about that equal performativity of this strange little space that the tiger has to jump through, and I guess the juxtaposition with what could be inside of the space of the meat slicer. I feel like there's an animal quality about both the meat slicer, the way it moves, but also the quality of that ring, that something needs to be there. There's some presence, something wants to be placed inside of that ring. And for me, I feel like the proximity of your body relative to both of these things, there's a sort of element of danger. The other piece, which is coming together now, is mashing together a big relay array, so a bunch of switches that click and clack, make this kind of sound in space, and I'm putting it against a representation of the Apollo 11 moon landing site. This is the Sea of Tranquility. NASA just recently uploaded these 3D models that people could download for free. So that's what I've been working with. I start with this data, probably in the same way I could appropriate an image. I'm appropriating 3D data and working from that to create some other sort of false illusions of that space. I suppose what's new in this body of work, at least what I've become interested in, is that very thin threshold or slippage between truth in material and hoaxes. So the moon landing is an interesting point of subject just because of the conspiracy theories that wrap around the moon landing. I find it interesting that we can create these indexical truths through photography and have it now manifest in something that could be considered physical. When I did find these models, it was people on Reddit were saying, you can now download 3D models of the landing site and create your own hoax. There's something captivating about trying to orchestrate the illusion. You certainly can do a lot with just light. Maybe that's the best way to think about it. You can manipulate photos. People looking at photos, they see that as a representation of something that was physically there. It's very easy to trick that single framed image. So I think that's always been something appealing about the moving image for me.